Hey friends, welcome back. In the video about time intelligence window functions, we already saw how we can smooth our data a little bit. Instead of showing a single day, in this case, we used a 5-day window, which then was simply shifted, right? So on a rolling basis. And now we're going to cover how we can apply moving averages in Power BI. For that, I first need to rename my last sheet here. And let's double click here and call it, for instance, here, this is first and last day sales, so to have a proper name, and then I click on the plus symbol, and I want to create a new visualization. This time, for the moving average, we're gonna do it not in a table structure, but directly in a visual, because we can easily see this, and you'll see that in a moment, that what I mean. So let's just say we would like to visualize the sales numbers on, in this case, for instance, a bar chart on a daily level. For that, we can easily go inside our data pane here. We can choose that we would like to have the date, like that. We also right-click on the date, because in this case, we do not want to see the hierarchy. We want to see the actual dates. So let's go to date here. Now we have each day in the data set. I apologize, these are the German weekday names, but you should see them in your native language. Next, I'd like to actually convert this into a bar chart, so a line. Let's click this one option here. And now, of course, we need to add some data on in this case, the axis. So for that, for the column y-axis, let's go in here, and let's just add here our total sales numbers. So total sales, the default one, this one. Let's click this option. And now you see that we get a bar chart, but of course, we get it for each day which we have sales. And you might also spot that there are some empty days, so some white spaces in between, simply because we have days where we do not have any sales. We have seen this countless times in the table so far, right? So as you can see here, we got, here it was, got the 4th, the 5th, but then 6 and 7, for instance, is missing, right? That's why it's not displayed. And that's why inside here in the visual, we also have some kind of white spaces in between. Now this, of course, gives us the data, but you can also see that we get some outliers. Like, for instance, this day here. Why are the sales really that high on this day or on this day? So what happened here, right? So that's what I meant when I said sometimes you have a data set and you have outliers, and then it might not be the best way to compare, for instance, this spike here, this day of sales, with the next one, which is quite small, right, in comparison. We would rather see it on a smoothing level. So sometimes people say we would like to see it on a 30-day level, because 30 days is so a monthly level more or less, or maybe 60 days, 90 days. It really depends on the business probably what the right number is. Maybe only 1 week and 7 days could also be the case. Now, to create this moving average, we use another time, in this case not time intelligence function, but another iterator function in combination with the time intelligence function. So let's use a new function I'd like to introduce is iterator, which is the average x. So let's right-click on the measures table, go to new measure, and then for this measure, we call this the moving average, because we average the values over a certain time period on a moving basis. And the moving basis, again, refers to the fact that for instance, 30 days, we keep the first 30 days. And on the 31st day, we add the 31st day and we remove the first day. And for the next day, we add the next day and remove the first day in our window. This is what's meant by smoothing and also moving, right? So the moving average itself is equal to, and then we use the average x function. You can see there are various average functions. The same is true, by the way, for sales, for some functions. So sum of sales, sum x of sales. But whenever you do with iterations over tables, we use the x functions. So these are the iterator functions. Now, for that, the first argument is a table. Because that's why it is an iterator function. So it iterates over what table? Now this time, the table is not a specific table we have already in the data set. Instead, we build this table using time intelligence functions. So that means we use the so-called dates in period. We already have seen this formula. And we just specify here, what is the table? So what kind of dates should be included in this table, which we want to use in order to then to iterate over with the average x function. So dates in period refers to our dates table date. Just keep that in mind. The first argument most often is not the date itself. So dates in period, dates table date. And of course, there need to be additional arguments. The start date is the last date. So last date of the dates table date. This one, which in this case is referring to, for this one is actually referring to the last day of the monthly level here. And then what I like to do is here, I like to go back 30 days. So the number of intervals will be minus 30. And then the interval itself will be the day level, because I would like to use 30 days. And this, of course, can be dynamic. So it could be minus 60, minus 7, minus 90, minus 180. As I said, this is really business driven. And also, you want to analyze it on a daily level or on a monthly level. It's up to you. So this is actually the table we need in order to iterate over. And now the expression we're going to use in order to calculate the value, so the average over this period, is the total sales in our case. So total sales, like that. Then we close this here and we are actually good to go. So as always, if I have a line break, I actually normally copy everything and then I go to my DAX formatter tool and just go to edit and I just paste my code inside here. And then I just let do its magic. Just wait a little bit and there it is. So copy this, go back to the formula here. And in here, I like to actually replace this like that. And then I check the box. And then I have my moving average. So now I can use this actually. So let me just Control C this visual, Control V to paste it. So I have it twice. Let me just drag it down. And let's just replace what we have currently here, which is in this case, the total sales value, with our new calculated value, which is, in this case, our moving average. So if I remove this here and say add data, and let's search for moving average, here it is. Let's click this option. And now you see that this is what we get instead. So what you can hopefully see is that by adding the 30-day window, this already is much smoother, as the name implies, as the upper one. Because now we do not take into account only, for instance, for such a spike, this specific day, but actually the average over the last 30 days. And this smooths the whole thing a lot, right? As you can see here, it's much better. I mean, we still have, if we have these high values, outliers like that, right? But it's much more smoothed. And also, because we take the 30-day window into account, we now don't have any spaces in between anymore. So this would be another way to display that and to get maybe a better insight on what's going on with our sales numbers here. Also, we could go to our upper visualization and instead of only showing here the lines like that, or the bars, we could also add the moving average, our measure here, to, in this case, the line. So for instance here, select the option and then under line here for the y-axis, we could go add data and then search for moving average. So moving average, and then we just check the box. And now you can see that also for the upper visual, even though you have the spikes in here, you now have this line, which gives you the smoothing effect. And also this gets you more information probably, or a better understanding here, like what the moving average over the period you analyze is, right? So this would be actually another way to display it. It's up to you whether you would like to have it in a chart separately, or also maybe here in a line for the upper chart here as well. That could also be possible. And that's actually it for moving averages. So hopefully you've seen that this allows us to get some smoothing and to avoid having outliers displayed here in the dataset, which gives us maybe better insights in the data we have. And the way it worked is here a combination of a new iterator function, which is in this case is the average x. An iterator function always needs a table in order to iterate over this table. Iterating means going row by row through a table. But this time, the only difference is that the table we're going to give it in here is a table we create ourselves. It is not the complete dates table. Instead, it is the dates table on a 30-day period. That's what we add here. And then the expression, for the expression, you can use any kind of measure you have. Total sales, in our case, also total profit or total cost or whatever you want to analyze. And that's how that works. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you can use that. There are certainly a lot of use cases for moving averages. And yeah, otherwise, that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.